All right. Well, as COVID ravages the world yet again, Dana White has come out and said that he will not require fighters to get vaccinated, that it is their body and their choice. Now, this could have implications for certain venues, such as the Madison Square Garden card that is supposed to be UFC 268, as New York has mandated that to be indoors, you have to be at least partially vaccinated or have negative COVID tests. I believe they're actually going full on vaccination because
I think so.
Because Michael Chandler has said that he will not be fully vaccinated by the time that fight comes around. So he may not fight Justin Gaethje in Madison Square Garden. It's a complicated topic. Lots of opinions, lots of political opinions, social opinions, health, all this misinformation. Lots of fun things to dive into here, Drake. Let's break it down like this. First and foremost, Dana White is not requiring fighters to get vaccinated. Right call, wrong call?
Oh boy, tricky one. Putting me on the spot here, Pat. Right?
Yes, I am.
Wrong call. Can I say a little bit of both? I'm gonna ride the
explain.
The explain. Okay. The thing that gets me is the requirement part, because like, I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, come on, let's do this. I am sick of living this way that we've had to live. And of course, it's gotten better recently, but still, we're not totally out of the woods. And we still don't know when that will be. So I'm like, yeah.
And recently it's got a little worse too.
Right. So there's that.
Yeah.
So I don't really like the forcing thing in general with whatever it is for the most part. But when it comes to the betterment of everyone, I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, that I like that. So like, and when it comes to wearing your mask, let's say in general, when things start, I was like, just fucking do it, you guys. Like everyone who's bitching and moaning, think about just healthcare workers in general who have had to wear masks for, let's say, the 30 years that they've been working. Grow up, man. Let's do you want this to still go on? No, I know you don't. No one does. So I'm really on both sides of it. But again, this goes to a deeper rooted issue, though, Pat, because of the fact that, they're independent contractors, aren't they? So
right,
you can still do that. But then that brings up another thing, though, right? Where you can argue, but we're not even employees. There's a lot to it, right? So that's why I don't really feel comfortable picking a definitive side, though I do have, the beliefs of both of them, really. But it's really tricky. So I'll leave it at that for now. But I get both sides.
So I have my personal opinions on this. And, Michael Chandler is saying that he wants to wait for FDA full approval, which I can understand that. That's something that makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. And it should hopefully be fully approved by next month. I personally wanted to get the vaccine as soon as I could for my reasons. But as you all know, I have some health issues going on. So I was just like, for me, cost benefit for sure. But regardless of all that, I'm not going to go too deep into my personal opinions and how I feel about it, because I do have some strong opinions about vaccinations, especially when you look at the fact that schools require vaccinations for multiple things that you have to have in order to go to public school. And, it's how some of the worst diseases have been eradicated and all that. There's a lot of different things there. But that all being said, this is 100% the wrong call because it's a bad business decision. How many fights have been canceled because COVID has taken them out last
week? This week.
This week. It was ridiculous. The amount of last minute cancellations. That in itself is why it's a bad call. It's bad for business. You require it because you don't want to scrap half the card 2 days before it's supposed to happen because someone's cornerman tested positive for COVID, or somebody tested for positive for COVID and they don't have any symptoms. But too bad, it's a whole thing. Because when you're vaccinated, you don't have to get tested as much either. I don't believe that seems to be the case. And you're more likely to come up negative regardless, which is just better business. So for me, this is 100% the wrong call. You should require all fighters to get vaccinated so that you can go about your normal business procedure without this ridiculous last minute scraping together, rearranging, matchmaking, all that stuff that has massive implications sometimes. I mean, we lost the co-main event to this upcoming pay-per-view. What happens if Cyril Gahn tests positive? I mean, we're in Houston, right? I live in Texas. Cases are out of control down here right now. Like, what happens if Cyril Gahn and Derek Lewis both test positive for COVID come Friday? What do? You don't have another fight you could elevate to a pay-per-view main event. Like, it's terrible, terrible business. That is why you need to require it.
Well, yeah, that is an excellent point. And, we've already seen the backlash, which comes with pretty much anything Dana says. But in this case, definitely, as well as Chandler, which I'm sure we'll get more to. But yeah, man, it's funny. I wanted to point out too, when you said the lesser testing, I mean, I would imagine vaccinated fighters are probably still getting tested, but I can speak from experience that media members don't have to test at all if they're vaccinated. That is a thing now. So
yeah, and I know that even if fighters are still getting still getting tested while they're vaccinated, if they're vaccinated and a quarterman tests positive, I'm pretty sure they would be fine to go, right? Which is what's happened in several of these COVID pullouts. It's not the fighter test positive, it's a quarterman or a contact, and it's like, well,
I'd love to see the numbers on how many times it has been not even the fighter, because I feel like when you think about it, it's maybe not half, but it's happened a decent amount. You know?
It's a significant number for sure. Yeah,
it's we'll see. I mean, I don't think Dana's gonna cave unless he's told to, like when he was with the Tachi Palace stuff and Disney, that the big boss is coming down on him, because as we know, Dana does whatever he wants and he's really braggadocious about it. So
yes,
until that happens, and how potentially worse things get again, which hopefully they don't, but if they do, and then Disney and Friends are like, I had to throw that in there, that reference. Yeah, still good. Yeah. Disney and Friends decide to say, okay, man, come on. We're gonna make you get it, Dana. Which, can you imagine? Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Dana's already gotten vaccinated. He got vaccinated early on. He's already talked about that. That's okay. And at least from what I've read, I'm pretty sure he came out and said that he was vaccinated early on. And that makes sense. It's just a smart business call. It's not, a lot of the reason that mandates are coming down now, right, is because it's affecting business. You had tons of businesses where people were starting to be forced back into the office or some hybrid of like, you got to come in some days and all that. That was like, plans were in place to get that going. I can think of at least 4, I know personally, smaller businesses in Austin. I know for like Wells Fargo, some of the bigger banks, they were all rolling that out too. Now they're having to walk that back. And it's a major waste of resources and a nightmare where they've been like logistically planning all this stuff. And now it's like, oh, by the way, we're just going to go ahead and throw that all out the window. It's hurting them economically. And when that happens, that's when suddenly these voices that were like, hey, it's your choice, whatever, turn to get the vaccine. We, in fact, need you to get the vaccine or we're going to fire you because, or you're not allowed in the office, which will hurt your prospect. Not to mention health insurance is going to go up. They're talking about if you're not vaccinated, which makes sense because I'm sure the health companies are losing a bunch of money paying for people who need COVID treatment. So, ultimately, I think in this instance, I understand why Dana wouldn't do it because of a brand image and issue. But I think in this instance, there is a solid possibility that if cases keep climbing, if you get more vaccine resistant forms of the virus and variants cropping up, then you're going to have to end up being mandated to take a vaccine, whether it's from Dana or whether it's from Disney and Friends, because I'm sure Disney does not appreciate and won't appreciate the fact that they lost Amanda Nunes on a pay-per-view this weekend and would certainly be upset if we lost either Derek Lewis or Cyril Gahn.
Yeah. And Man, Pat, it would sure hurt my soul if we don't get Chandler and Gaethje. I'll tell you that much. And I need Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje, Pat. I do. This is like one of my dream matchups of all fantasy matchups. Never would have thought we would get to see the World Series champ against the Bellator champ. And I'm going to pray to the MMA gods again that this still happens. Of course, it's going to be tested this way when it doesn't need to be. But what do we make of Chandler's? Did he flat out say like I'm not going to, or I can't? I'm not going to have time. Like, how did he say this? I didn't see that part.
So that's where he said essentially that he wanted it to be FDA full approval first. So that's coming or supposed to come early next month, September. So if that all lines up, that's where being fully vaccinated will be tough because he'd probably get his shot sometime early, depending on which shot he gets. If he gets Pfizer, which I think is 3 weeks instead of 4 in between, then you do
Pfizer's 2. I got that one.
Okay, there you go. So if you get that, then you end up getting it in early September, and then I mean that's still plenty of time. So I would imagine to be fully vaccinated, but that was his reasoning. So I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not that will actually happen or not. Otherwise, I think it would be delayed. I don't think they would straight up scratch.
They better not.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, it's it's tough. It's really tough because I understand that point, right? I can see these vaccines were made faster than any other vaccine. I trust the raw data I've seen on them, but I understand why others would be hesitant. And so waiting for full FDA approval, sure. I mean, I get that. Have been about a year at this point. Makes sense. They would have plenty of data to give you safety and all that. But yeah, I mean, if this fight doesn't happen, it's a major letdown given everything, that it could be. So I don't know, man. I
mean, I feel pretty comfortable saying that those fights will not happen in New York, Pat. That's for sure.
I think so too. The only thing I will say is, and this is where there's a glimmer of hope, right? And mind you, this is not pure conjecture, but a fair amount of conjecture. Is if you look at how the Delta variant spread, and it's really going to depend on new variants, but for the Delta variant at least, if you look at how it spread in the UK and India, it's super transmissible, right? But that also means it burns out much quicker. And so there are several people saying that we could hit the peak of these new cases in this new wave at the end of August. Now, if that happens, where the peak is at the end of August, then by the time you roll around in November, you should be at a level where it wouldn't be a big deal. But whether or not that will be the case is still up in the air. And then there's new variants that can pop up, right? Delta Plus is a fun one. Lambda, all that fun stuff. So, it depends on those more, I would say, because I would imagine by the time November 6th rolls around, I don't know that New York would necessarily drop the mandate, but they may. I could see them pulling it back if cases were low enough. And I imagine cases are going to be lower than they are right now by November 6th, if they're right about the peak being in August. If they're wrong about that, well then, no. Yeah, there's no way in hell this is happening in New York.
Yeah, so sucks for New York fans and everybody hoping to. It would be cool to be at Madison Square Garden again. Of course it would be, especially for the card that they look to be stacking and hope to have happen there. I mean, we got the Colby and Kamaru rematch, which happened there the first time. Obviously Luke and Strickland. Is there another title fight yet that I'm missing or nothing yet?
No. Well, no, Colby and Kamaru was Vegas. Because I was there for that one. That was 245.
Oh, right. Whoops. Got that mixed up. I was thinking of one of Usman's. I don't know what I was thinking of. Either way, big fight area.
Yes, big fight. Yes.
That's that.
No, you were thinking of the historic Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal BMF.
I was there for that one.
Historic.
I guess that was
historic.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let us know in the comments how you feel about all this stuff. Do you feel that the UFC should require their fighters to be vaccinated and their cornermen and everyone else who's going to be in attendance? Do you think that it should be their choice? And, if fights get scratched and canceled and whatnot, so be it. Let us know your thoughts. Try not to make the comments too messy. I know they're going to get messy as fuck, but please try your best to be civil, because it's going to divulge. Yeah. But let us know how you feel about fighting and these mandatory vaccinations. Let us know about Chandler versus Gaethje too, because I'm sure we all want to see that. Yes. Hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification, tell a friend to tell 10 friends to share this, to share to 15 more friends. That's what Ant says, right? Something like that, close enough. And with that in mind, let's just hope that the COVID just stops, that this wave peaks real quick.
Get out of here.
And then
go away.
Just gets gone, man. Let's
get gone, nerd.
Get gone, dude. Kick rocks.